That will cost you £5 normally on a postcard. Today is your lucky day. And I tell you a secret, ladies and gents, I pay that driver every day to come past at this time. He's not let me down once this week yet. But the bridge will open free of charge 364 days of the year. There is only one day of the year in which Tower Bridge will not open. Does anybody know which day of the year that is? It's not Christmas Day. It's not Boxing Day. On the hand side. Built in 1086 by William the Conqueror. The tower's been many things over the years. It's been a royal palace, it's been a mint, and even been a zoo. Now home to the Queen's crown jewels. Now as we turn the boat around, we'll make our way up towards Westminster Pier. The journey time is around 30 minutes. On the left hand side of the boat, a nice photo opportunity. One of the tallest buildings in Western Europe, 1,017 foot high, the Shard, or the Shard of Glass. And it was designed by an Italian man called Renzo Piano. They offered him £1 million for his architectural designs. Now most people, they would say yes. Renzo, he said no. He said instead, I'll have the penthouse suite at the very top. He later sold that penthouse suite to an American rapper, you may have heard of him, will.i.am. He bought it for £30 million. So a good bit of business indeed. Now just below the Shard, and permanently moored here on our anchor chains, you will see a warship, the HMS Belfast. Now she was launched in 1938 and built in the same dockyard as the ill-fated Titanic. There are 6 guns or turrets at the rear, and there are 6 more at the front, capable of shooting a 100-pound shell up to 13 landmines. Now she was one of the first vessels to fire her guns in anger on the D-Day landings, the last fought in the Korean War. If you take a look to the front of the ship, as we do go past, you will see a Union Jack. Now this is the only Union Jack you'll see here in London today. To be called a Union Jack, the flag, it must be flown on the front of a British warship on a wooden jackstaff. If you look closely as we go past it, it's on a wooden pole there at the front. There's a small crown at the top. That is a wooden jackstaff. If you see any others here in London, if they're not on the front of a British warship, we call them the Union flag. She's now an added extra here. You see people on board to the Imperial War Museum. Now to the right hand side of the boat, and this is some of London's new builds. The cheese grater, the walkie-talkie, and the gherkin. Now don't ask me who come up with these names, I've got no idea. But if you look to the top of the walkie-talkie building, at the top there is a Sky Garden. Has anybody on board been to the Sky Garden?
Yes,
Has
sir.
anyone been up there? Did you like it at the top?
Yeah.
At the top, a bar and a restaurant. Now I'll give you a tip if you haven't been. The viewing platform up there at the Sky Garden is free of charge. We highly recommend it for you, a free viewing platform here in London. Now you can't see anybody on the balcony there. When it gets a little windy, they shut the balcony off. But there is a 360-degree viewing platform inside. We highly recommend it for you all. A little tip for you there. Now the first bridge we will pass underneath, and this is one of the most famous bridges in the world. And you will see its name engraved into the stone either side of the boat, the world famous London Bridge. Now this is the 5th London Bridge to have stood here, opened by Queen Elizabeth II in 1973. And other bridges, they've been taken down, they've burnt down, and some of you are singing, you may have heard the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. Now the last bridge, it was sold to an American man for $2 million. Now stands in Lake Havasu, the Arizona desert. You've seen it before? A previous London Bridge taken down to stop the Great Fire of London from spreading from the north of the river on the right to the south of the river on the left. Now as we pass underneath London Bridge, do look across to the left. In between the buildings here, you'll see a pirate ship in the dockyard. That is Sir Francis Drake's replica of the Golden Hind. Now Sir Francis Drake was a pirate. He'd go around the world stealing gold. And this replica, it's been around the world twice, now permanently moored in the dockyard free of charge for you to go and visit. And it sits next to the Cannon Street railway station. Now if you look underneath the station on the right hand side, you'll see some glass windows. This is one of London's 5-star luxurious spas. Now let me tell you folks, before you look across to the right, some days the views, they're a lot better than others. Some days you're going to wish you never looked. But that's one of London's 5-star spas underneath the bridge there on the right hand side. And if you do look to the bottom of the railway station, either side of the boat, you'll see the tide, it moves around the footings. It can move up to 6 miles per hour in speed. Now as we pass underneath the railway station, look across to the left. You'll see mine and the captain's favourite place here on the Thames. And that's the pub, or the Anchor at Bankside. And there's been a pub here on the banks of the Thames since the year 1615. They say Shakespeare used to get changed in the attic before walking across to the Globe Theatre. Now me and my friend driving the boat, we spend a lot of time in the Anchor. And if you're wondering what we do, we conduct research. It's research for this commentary I'm currently providing to you. It's very thirsty work, folks. Feel free to join us in there sometime. Now as we pass underneath the next bridge, look to the base of the bridge either side of the boat. You'll see chains, they hang along the footings. These chains, they give you something to grab onto if you happen to fall in. I wouldn't recommend it, but that is what they're doing. And as we do clear the bridge, the Southwark Road Bridge, look to the left, the white brown building with the thatched roof. Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. And you can watch live entertainment in the Globe from April the 23rd, that's Shakespeare's birthday, until the end of October. That's one of the only buildings here in London to have a thatched roof, as these became illegal after the Great Fire in London. Now there is a 2:30 and a 7:30 p.m. show. And you know the theatre is open today because a flag will fly on the top. Each coloured flag will represent what is being shown inside. A white flag is for a comedy, a black flag for a tragedy, or a red flag like you see today for a historical play. Now a standing ticket at Shakespeare's Globe Theatre any day of the week is just £5. You've been there before? You're going there. You paid £5 for your tickets. What's that? Around $5, €6 for a show in London. We highly recommend it indeed. Now it does sit on the south bank of the River Thames, and you can get from where we just picked you up to where we're going to drop you off along the south bank of the Thames. There's bars, restaurants, live entertainment to see. Now as you can hear, as you can see, many people walk from the south bank across to the north bank, because on the right hand side here you will see Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece. That is St Paul's Cathedral. Now the cathedral was built 365 foot high. Easy to remember, as 1 foot for every day of the year. And if you look right to the top there are some people up there. At the top, a viewing platform. Costs you around £15 to £20 to go inside. Now the next bridges we pass underneath, St Paul's, it sits next to the Blackfriars Bridges. They're two closest bridges on our trip today. And if you look to the roof of the railway station, from one side of the river to the other, you see solar panels on the top. A £500 million development for the London 2012 Olympic Games. The solar panels on top of this bridge, they power up to 70% of the station's daily use. The largest solar panel bridge in the world. Now as these bridges, they are so close together, they're also known as the Tunnel of Love. They say if you kiss the one you love as you pass through the bridges, it will bring you 7 years of happiness. So don't hold back, so hold your horses. Wait till we go through, alright? Hold your horses. Alright? 7 years of good luck as you do pass through the bridge. So give your loved ones a kiss as we do pass through. Now as we pass through the bridges, that does mark around halfway through our trip up towards our next stop, Westminster Hall. Can I just check, is everybody enjoying the live commentary? So far you hear me okay in the back? Downstairs you hear me okay? Alright. So we pass underneath the Blackfriars Bridges. As we do, continue looking to the right, you will see a large construction site, the Tideway Tunnel project. As the population in London has grown from 1 to nearly 10 million people we've needed a new sewer system. And that's what they're building here on the right, a £5 billion project. Now look behind the construction site and you will see a small red brick building. That is Zion's College. It is home to many famous books. Queen Victoria's first diaries are inside, and the first Bible to be written using the Caxton press. All on display there on the north bank for you to see today. Now as we do clear the construction site, continue looking to the right, and just below the pathway along the river wall, you'll begin to notice rows of green metal lions' heads. And these lions, they hold rings in their mouths, commonly mistaken for tying up boats. They're actually an early flood warning sign. If the water rises to the level of the lions' mouths, the river, it might overflow its banks. And if you look just below the pathway here, you can see the green moss line. That shows you just how high the tide can rise here in London. It can rise up to nearly 8 meters in height. Now if the tide was to rise above 7.2 meters, this boat, it wouldn't fit underneath many of the bridges we've just passed through today. Now if the tide does overflow its banks, if the river overflows its walls, the Metropolitan Police, they come to the river's edge. And on the right hand side here, they would use the last remaining blue phone box that you'll see here in London to call the London Underground station, to close it, to prevent it from flooding. That's the last remaining blue phone box that you'll see. All of them now, they're red, like the one next to it there. And we do now leave the City of London. We enter the City of Westminster. Temple Arch on the right here, that's the boundary point between the two. Now just next to Temple Arch, there is a white New Zealand warship, the HQS Wellington. It's been here since the 1980s as a floating livery hall for the Master Mariners. Now what that means is a drinking club for any captain who has been at sea for 15 years or more. Now just in front of the Wellington, a nice photo opportunity. One of the most famous boats out here on the River Thames, the black and white St Catherine with the black canopy on the top. This is the former Queen's Royal Barge. Right up until the early 1960s, any meetings that needed to be conducted by the Queen would have been done out here on the Thames, on the St Catherine there on the right. Now a permanent restaurant at Temple Pier. And Temple Pier, this is where the party boats sit here on the River Thames. Now opposite Temple Pier and back to the south bank, as the tide is low, you can see the beaches, they do appear. And we know some of you are going there today with the billboard on the front, our National Theatre. There are 3 theatres inside, the most famous of which, the Olivier Theatre. A standing ticket at the Olivier Theatre is around £10. Now the National Theatre, designed to look like the Waterloo Road Bridge, also known as the Ladies' Bridge, built by the ladies during the Second World War. While the men were away fighting the ladies, they built this bridge out of a Portland stone. And you can see how clean the face of the bridge is compared to the underneath. Portland stone, self-cleaning. So when it rains here in London, like it did last night and the night before, the rain, it will wash away the dirt on the side of the bridge. And Tower Bridge and St Paul's Cathedral, which we just saw, Buckingham Palace, which we know many of you are going to see this afternoon, also built out of this self-cleaning Portland stone. So well done to the ladies. Now as we do pass underneath the Ladies' Bridge, look back across to the right. They're building with the green roof and the Union flag on top. One of the most famous hotels in the world. That is the 5-star Savoy Hotel. And it will cost you around £1,000 a night to stay at the Savoy Hotel. You stay there on New Year's Eve, it will cost you up to £20,000 a room. Now it's worth every penny, folks. It's worth every penny. Because it comes with a full, complimentary English breakfast. Worth every penny. Just next to that, the oldest thing here on the Thames today, Cleopatra's Needle. Now this needle, 3,500 years old, given to us following a successful battle of the River Nile. There's only 2 of these needles in the world. One is here One is in Central Park, New York City. And the two sphinxes either side of the needle, they guard the needle throughout the year. They should be facing out, but Queen Victoria, she liked them facing in. The left one there, heavily damaged during the First World War. Now many of the buildings, if not all of the buildings you see here on the right and in the surrounding area, they're completely soundproof. And one of those buildings over here on the left is within the South Bank Centre, the Royal Festival Hall, put here to celebrate the Festival of Britain in 1951. Many famous people have performed there. Frank Sinatra, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, the list goes on. They're completely soundproof due to how noisy, as you can hear, the Charing Cross railway station is ahead of us. The overground, it runs above us, and the Northern and Bakerloo line, the underground, it is directly underneath the borough. Now you see, it's a very quiet day here in London today. On a Monday, the bridges here, they're normally full. This is the Hungerford and the Jubilee footbridge, either side of the railway station. And what we like to do as we pass underneath the bridge, we like to give the people on top of the bridge a wave. My friend driving a boat, he'll wake the bridge up for you. Give him a wave up there as we pass through. Now generally people are happy to see us, and they do wave back.
Yeah.
He's like,
there we go.
Yeah, yes, we should have done like
We'll
that.
try again. A few more people on the other side. Give them a wave up there as we do pass through. Now if they don't wave back, they're just lying in the smoke. Very miserable people lying in the silent. There we go. They can wave. Now as we do clear the bridge, continue looking to the right. You will see a castle on the land. That's the White Hall Court Mansions, home to the MI5 during World War I, and that was Winston Churchill's offices during World War II. Now, a 5-star hotel. That's the Royal Horse Guard Hotel.
Wow.
Behind this building every day, they do the changing of the Queen's Guards. A free service we'd highly recommend whilst here in London. If you're visiting Buckingham Palace this afternoon, it's just behind the mansions here on the right hand side, the area of Whitehall on the right. Now if you're downstairs, come up to the open top there. On the left for you all, a nice photo opportunity. It's one of London's most popular tourist attractions. That is the London Eye. Has anybody been on the London Eye today? A few people. Today's a nice day for it. Put here in the millennium year of 2000. She was only meant to be a temporary structure. 22 years later, she still stands today. It was said on the first day of opening, and on a busy summer's day, the London Eye, it can make up to £500,000 a day. £500 million. And she's 450 foot high. Those 32 glass pods, so the capsules that you see, they represent the 32 boroughs here in London. Now on a clear day from the top, you will be able to see up to 20 miles in any given direction. And those 32 boroughs, they're looked after by the London Mayor, who used to sit in County Hall here on the left right up until the early 1980s. That's now home, as you can nearly 8 metres in height. Now we are going to make our way back down river through Westminster Bridge, and we'll make our approach towards Westminster.
Now as we approached it, a bit of travel information, it's a good safety announcement for you. As we approached it here, once you've taken your photos, especially for the children on board, we ask you to remain seated, just to have safety tied up the boat alongside the crew. When it's safe to get off, your friends are on the boat, That's travel information.
We will be alongside Westminster Pier for around 20 minutes. We then go across to the London Eye and back down river. We know